A method actor told Clint Eastwood, "My artistic process can't be rushed," after showing up late for the third day in a row. What Clint did next, in front of the entire crew, became legendary in Hollywood. It was October 1992, on the set of Unforgiven in the remote Badlands of Alberta, Canada. Clint Eastwood was directing and starring in what would become one of his most critically acclaimed films, a revisionist Western that would go on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The production was tight, disciplined, and slightly ahead of schedule, exactly how Clint liked it. He had built a reputation as a director who respected budgets, valued the crew's time, and finished films efficiently without sacrificing quality. His sets were known for being professional, focused, and free of drama. From his early days in film, Clint had learned the value of discipline, working under tough conditions with crews that depended on punctuality to capture perfect lighting or finish scenes before the weather changed. The Alberta Badlands were a challenging location, wind-eroded rock formations, dust rising with every step, and October mornings cold enough to make every minute of shooting count. The crew had traveled far from the comforts of Hollywood studios to achieve the authenticity Clint wanted for this story of revenge and redemption in the Old West. Then they hired someone we'll call Derek Matthews, a respected New York theater actor who had recently gained attention for an intense off-Broadway performance. He had trained in prestigious acting programs, studied multiple method techniques, and saw himself as a serious artist. His agent had pushed hard to land him a supporting role, a key character appearing in several important scenes. Clint's casting director had concerns. "He's talented," she said, "but he has a reputation for being difficult, very method, very particular about his process." "How difficult?" Clint asked. "He once spent 3 months living as a homeless person for a role. He refuses to break character between takes. That kind of thing." Clint considered it. He respected actors who took their craft seriously, but he also knew there was a difference between dedication and self-indulgence. "Give him the role," Clint decided, "but make sure he understands how we work here." Matthews signed on, arrived in Alberta, and attended the first production meeting. Clint laid out expectations clearly: 6 a.m. call times, professionalism on set, and efficient shooting. The crew worked hard, and he expected actors to match that energy. Matthews nodded during the meeting but seemed distracted, as if the logistics of filmmaking were beneath him. He was there to create art, not to watch the clock. The first day Matthews was scheduled to shoot was a Monday. Call time, 6 a.m. The location, a remote ranch an hour from base camp. The morning light was critical for the scene. At 6 a.m., the crew was ready. Cameras positioned perfectly, lighting set to capture the golden sunrise, actors already in makeup since 5 a.m., and Clint in his director's chair reviewing the shot list. Everything was ready, except Derek Matthews. His trailer door remained closed. Dark, silent. By 9 a.m., after multiple attempts, Matthews finally opened the door, still in street clothes, hair unkempt, looking annoyed at being disturbed rather than embarrassed for being 3 hours late. "I'm preparing," he said, as if something sacred had been interrupted. "My process requires deep internal work before I can inhabit the character. This can't be rushed. This isn't some TV comedy where you just put on a costume and say lines. This is serious acting." The assistant director explained they were losing the morning light, that the entire crew was waiting. "Art doesn't work on a schedule," Matthews replied, closing the door. When Clint was informed, he made a simple decision. "We'll shoot around him. Move to scene 14. The crew scrambled to adjust, losing precious time and the perfect lighting they had planned specifically for Matthews' scene. At 9:30 a.m., Matthews finally emerged, ready to work. But 3 hours were already gone. Clint said nothing. He simply adjusted the schedule and moved on. But he was watching. Departments around the production were all in place. Call time, exactly 6 a.m. At 5:45 a.m., the entire crew was ready, position set, cameras prepared, lights adjusted, sound rolling. Everyone waiting for Derek Matthews. At 6 a.m., his trailer remained closed. At 9 a.m., it was still closed. The assistant director knocked, no response. At 9:15, he knocked harder. Nothing. Clint Eastwood stood up from his director's chair and personally walked toward Matthew's trailer. The entire crew watched. This was unprecedented. Clint's directing style was usually quiet and invisible. For him to step in personally meant something serious was happening. He knocked firmly. 3 sharp knocks echoed across the silent set. After a long moment, Matthews opened the door. He was in a robe again, holding a cup of tea, visibly annoyed. "We're ready for you," Clint said calmly. "I'm preparing," Matthews replied, as if it were obvious. "My artistic process can't be rushed. I need to access deep emotional memories for this scene. It takes time." "What time was your call?" Clint interrupted, still calm, but now with an edge. "Call times are just administrative conveniences," Matthews said, launching into what sounded like a rehearsed speech. "Real acting requires going places that can't be scheduled." "What time?" Clint repeated. 6 a.m., but it's 9 a.m., Clint said, each word deliberate. "You're 3 hours late. 3rd day in a row. 75 people have been waiting for you. People who showed up on time." Matthews froze mid-sentence. "You're done. Pack your things," Clint said quietly. "You're fired. There's a car waiting to take you back to Los Angeles. You have 30 minutes. The set went completely silent. "You can't fire me. We're in the middle of production," Matthews protested. "No," Clint replied simply. "We need someone professional, someone who respects other people's time. That's not you. This is insane. I'm creating art here." "I'm not firing you for taking your craft seriously," Clint said. "I'm firing you for being 3 hours late, 3 days in a row, and showing no respect for the 75 professionals waiting while you drink tea in a robe." "My process." "Your process," Clint cut in, "includes being on set when you're supposed to be. If you can't do that, you can't work here. Pack your things." Matthews looked around the crew. No support, no sympathy. Just 75 people who had been up since 4:30 a.m. waiting. "You're making a huge mistake," he said. 30 minutes, Clint replied and walked away. Within 25 minutes, Matthews left with his bags. A production van took him back to Los Angeles. Clint was already focused on the next shot. The story spread across Hollywood before Matthews even reached the airport. Clint Eastwood fires actor for being late, and hiding behind artistic process became industry talk within hours. The consequences were immediate. Directors lost interest. Producers questioned his reliability. Studios quietly labeled him difficult. Within a year, Matthews was back in regional theater. His film career, once promising, collapsed over 3 late arrivals and 1 conversation. Meanwhile, Unforgiven moved forward. His replacement actor arrived early every day, knew his lines, and delivered a strong performance. The film went on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for Clint. Years later, when asked about the incident, Clint summed it up simply. "Film sets require discipline, not because of authority, but because hundreds of people are coordinating complex work. When someone thinks their process matters more than everyone else's time, that's not art. That's selfishness." That's why the moment became legendary. Not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was the opposite. Calm, direct, final. A line drawn. Professionalism matters,